Hello internet, so today I thought I'd do a quick video showing how I'm going to upgrade my networking wall so it's all tidy and all the cables are going to be hidden. So I took everything off the wall so far, and as I put these standoffs on the wall. Now I've actually used no more nails to glue these on, which is going to be more than strong enough to hold the piece of wood, because there was a shelf here stuck on with it and it's pulled like a massive chunk of the plasterboard off. So I've been to the shop and I bought this piece of 9mm plywood. I've cut it down to size, so this is I think about 90 centimeters by 60. But first I need to mark it up because I want to cut out holes so I can access the port power and say the sockets. So I want a hole around here, I think, and a hole here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to route the extension will be on top of the wood, and then all the power cables will run down behind. So I've cut the two holes. I've got the power one here and the other socket one here. My multi-tool was playing up a bit. I ran out of blades, so they're not the straightest of cuts, but they're sanded off nicely. I've cut the holes as well to pull it on. Okay, so if we hold it up, you can see that the cuts are basically in the right place. So that lines up nicely. So next I want to decide on where I want everything to go on the board. Now I think I might have the router up here, switch and fibre ONT here. One thing I forgot was the extension lead that I wanted on the front. So I've got that there, and I think everything is in the right place. So I've marked some holes where I want to have some Ethernets come through. I've marked some holes at the back here and some holes for like the power cables to go through. So my next job is to drill those holes, which is what I'm going to go do now. There we are, so I've got most of the holes drilled. I'm going to go back and test fit. I'm going to go back and test fit it, I think. Make sure everything lines up where I want it. And then the next stage will be to paint it. Okay, so I'm back from the garage now. I've painted it like a grey silver colour. The next job I want to do is to run some custom sized Ethernet cables sort of along the back. Okay, so first off I need the Ethernet cable that's going to go from the fibre modem . And this needs to run up to where the switch is going to be. Sorry, not the switch, up to where the router is going to be. And one thing I've just realised, that my pins are going to be slightly too long, otherwise they're going to go through the whole board. So I've tried cutting one. Got the first cable in. I've got the router going up here, so that's the cable coming from what will be the fibre modem. I've now got to run 4 Ethernet cables that are in the panel over here, and they're going to come through here where the switch is, or I may have some coming. I need one that goes, I need one that comes from up here over to where the TV socket is. So I'm going to go ahead now and run the rest of them, and I'll be back in a moment. So I've got everything on here now. I've got a spare Ethernet that comes down the bottom here, which is probably going to be for my little server computer. Then I've got my one that comes from the router down to the switch. Then I've got 4 outputs from the switch coming out to the side. Then I've got one here coming from the router over to where the TV port is. Next I want to get my extension lead power through. Okay, so next I want to get my extension lead power through. So obviously the power extension lead is going to go on there. And I need to get the plug through, so I'm going to go ahead and remove the plug. There we are, so I've got the plug through. What shall I do next? I think next what I'll do is I'll screw the things on the front, but get all that out of the way, and then I'll have the long tedious job of making up all these ends. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and screw the extension lead on the board now. Now to do this I need to work out where the holes line up. So I'm going to try a tiny little blob of toothpaste. Tiny little blob of toothpaste on there. And that way when I push it down, I get my 2 impressions where the 2 holes are. Three, 2, 3. Router is on. So this is everything connected to the board. We've got, starting from the top, we've got the Netgear Nighthawk R700, and we've got the Ethernet cables there. And we come down. I'm going to put my switch here, but I haven't decided how I'm going to mount it yet. Then I've got a cutout for where the BT socket goes, in case someone wants a phone. Then I've got the cutout for the power on and off, which is going to be where this extension lead plugs into. And then coming down we've got the battery backup for the fibre to the premises modem. And again, there's an Ethernet cable that comes from here behind, goes all the way up to the router, and from the router comes down to the switch, and from the switch it then goes off to my little panel I've got here that goes around the house. I've also got a spare Ethernet cable that comes down the bottom here. That will be for my little server computer. And I've got a couple of holes here if I want to run the power cords through. So the next job will be to make up these ends. What I've got is a pack of different coloured sleeves. This will help me colour code, you know, what goes where. I've got the colour code diagram, some RJ45 ends, cable stripper, and I've also got the crimping tool as well, and a pair of snips. Okay, so I've cut the end off. Just do it again to show you. So I'll cut it a bit smaller. Then we take our wire strippers and just nip the end off, like so. Take the sleeve that you want to use, pop that on, push it out the way. Then we take one of the RJ45 ends, and this is where it can get a little bit fiddly. Go ahead and cut the nylon string off. So then we want to take our diagram, which is this one here, and just copy the exact same at the other end. So with the pins facing obviously that way. We want to check the size, so we want to see when this goes in, we want the bottom of it just to fit inside the clamp. So that's slightly too long, let's just knit them all off. So that will fit in there nicely. So, here we go. Orange, white, orange. Then we have the green, white. And this goes over this end. Then we have the blue. I hate doing this because it's so fiddly and I've got so many to do as well. Then we got the blue. Then the blue white, then the green. Try and put the green over this way. Then you've got the brown, white, and then the brown. I'll try to pull these over this way. Now the best thing to do is try and straighten them all up. Try and get them in the correct order. There we go, brown, white, green. Let's see if I can do this first time then. It always helps to have the ends the same length, so it's slightly too long. Okay, so try and get them all bunched up like this, as close as you can. Because then what we do is we slide the plug over the end. And then we try and squeeze, if you can see in the camera. Try and squeeze the pins into the correct lanes, which can sometimes get a little bit frustrating. And I think, aha! Yeah, so first time on that one. Just going to bring the camera around this side. So as we can see here, we've got so as you can see here, we've got orange, white, orange. Then we've got the green, white of the green. Then the blue, blue, white of the blue, white, and the green. Then the brown, white of the brown, and the brown, all coming up to the end, and then the bottom of the cable nicely in the clamps. So we take the crimper, on this side there's the slot in the middle for the RJ45. Again, make sure it's pushed on all the way. Insert the end of it, make sure it goes all the way down, and squeeze it, and that's it. That's the first one done. Give it a little pull, make sure it's terminated correctly, and then just slide the sleeve down. So that's the first one done. Lots of mess, but I am now finished with the Ethernet ends. So I've got those coming out of there for the router. I've got the ones plugged into the switch. I've got one for my TV point that's behind the, which goes behind the panel. And then I've got these ones here that come out the side. And finally, my spare one that's going to be going to my server computer. And the one at the bottom, which takes it up to the ONT. So, now I've done all this, have a quick tidy up, and get everything put back on the board. This is the power cable for the Netgear router. And what I've done for the switch is I put the power pack on the back, so I couldn't get the cable through. So you now plug in, it goes to the switch. So those two plug in there. If you don't like it, fix it. What I done is I ran this cable again because I didn't like it pulling so tightly. For some reason I thought this was over this end, so I've reran the cable, and we're pretty much ready now to transfer it over to the wall, which is in there. So I'm going to go ahead and get that ready. So I'm back. I've got it screwed on the wall now. My battery died on my camera, so I couldn't carry on filming, but it looks good. We've got our Netgear router here. Got our switch. Access to our power behind. Here we got the fibre modem. And I've got my little patch panel on the side here. Still need to label these. Here's a quick picture of what it looked like before. As you see, it's quite messy, and this is what it looks like now. I'm really happy with the final look. A few things I would have done differently. I would have cut the holes neater, and I probably wouldn't have painted it because it wasn't really needed, but I am happy with the way it looks. So any questions, feel free to comment and I'll try to get back to them, and then hopefully like the video if you found it interesting.